Hi, I'm Tracy Webb, and I am here at Acadia University as a participant in the first Canadian Wildlife Federation Summer Learning Institute. This involves drawing educators from right across the country to come together for a week to explore many different issues around biodiversity, wildlife conservation, and species at risk. My partner, Jason Hofer from Manitoba, and I have put together this documentary to try to help educate people about some of these issues. The issue we're going to address is the fact that we need to increase public awareness and community involvement in understanding the environment and people's role in it, as well as their impacts on wildlife and biodiversity. Education is crucial in developing environmentally literate citizens at all levels of society. Dr. Graham Dayborn is a professor emeritus of biology at Acadia University. He feels that in today's world, many profound changes are occurring at a rapid rate. The health of the environmental conditions that we live in are being seriously affected by increases in population growth, new technology, and unfettered consumerism.
Environmental conditions that people live in. As a species, we've become extremely dominant in this planet. We have initiated a series of changes that are extremely threatening to the way in which we live. And in general, we haven't responded very well to those changes. In particular, people still tend to be interested in acquiring new things. They're not satisfied unless they have the latest in technology or the latest in clothing or things of that kind. And governments, which to some extent are responsible for making changes or establishing policy that will enable change to deal with the increasing pressures, seem incapable of doing so.
Of all species on this planet, we are the most adaptable to changes in our environment, to a point yet to be experienced. Most species, unfortunately, are not so flexible. We are losing our planet's biodiversity, and many organisms are becoming species at risk. Steve Mockford, who is a wildlife biologist and professor at Acadia University. Dr. Mockford, could you please explain the significance of keeping biodiversity?
Kate, when you think what we're trying to conserve, it isn't specific organisms. What we're trying to conserve is diversity at multiple levels. So at the level of the gene, at the level of the species, and at the level of the system. Primarily so that each of those levels can continue to adapt in a changing environment. If we lose diversity, we lose the ability to adapt, or the system does, and we know that the environment is going to continue to change.
Jose, could you please explain what species at risk means and how we can help?
Well, species at risk are species that have been listed by the federal government, the SARA Act, so Species at Risk Act, as because they're in trouble in some way. And the best way to help would be to inquire about the species at risk in your area and see how you can volunteer or how you can help into promoting the protection of those species.
Here are examples of how people in Nova Scotia are getting involved. The Mersey-Tobiatic Research Institute envisions research openly shared with the public, which promotes biodiversity conservation and sustainable use of natural resources in the Southwest Nova Biosphere Reserve. With over 120 members and 25 partners, MTRI has many projects supported by the local communities, volunteers, public school and university students, and scientists. More people are becoming familiar with the Species at Risk Act, known as SARA, and in Nova Scotia, the Blandings turtle is one particular species at risk. In Kejimkujik National Park, or Keji to the locals, turtles are first marked and identified by clips on their carapace. They are monitored with radio transmitters to better understand their range and movement patterns. Once they make a nest and lay their eggs, protective cage scavengers cannot dig.
It has laid its eggs. We put that protective cage over it so that raccoons and foxes and skunks won't be able to get at the eggs. Plus, it allows us to know exactly where the nests are, because take away the enclosure, if you look at the pattern of rocks, there's nothing to tell us that a turtle made a nest there. Blendings are especially good at camouflaging their nests. They're gonna digging and laying their eggs is going to take them maybe an hour. Camouflaging the nest is going to take them over 2 hours.
The Blandines turtles have responded very well to the wildlife management and conservation efforts. In the year 2000, there were only 50 identified turtles in Keji. In 2009, the numbers in the park exceed 500. Throughout the Learning Institute experience, educator participants have observed and learned about the conservation efforts of the frogs of the Mersey River, plovers at Keji Seaside Adjunct, the sandpipers of the Minas Basin near Grand Pre, along with other species. The importance of community participation and volunteerism is a key to the success of similar projects.
For ordinary people, the members of the public, the citizens of your country, to take on the responsibility themselves and to work effectively with their leaders, their governments and the agencies.
We need to bring this knowledge of wildlife conservation into our classrooms to help facilitate similar hands-on experiences for our students. The hands-on experiences will help students better understand biodiversity and take ownership of their actions.
As educators, we have an integral and very significant role in the future of our planet, as we are guiding the learning experiences and the understanding of environmental concepts of our future citizens. Environmental literacy is crucial in developing a multidimensional knowledge base from which to facilitate well-informed decision-making. As the dominant species, we have already exceeded the carrying capacity of the Earth. We only get one chance. You can make a difference.